Hello everyone and welcome to another Django video. Today, let's create a quiz together using Django. So, we'll focus on the logic. How does a quiz work? It's going to be about the sleep quality because we all sleep, but in the future we can change the topic to anything. We're gonna make it look good and responsive and simple.
Django app Python, JavaScript, tutorials for Jamie, this is Silva.
What the fuck, HTML?
There's only C.
I will be using these posts in my blog as a reference. I'm gonna leave the link in the description for the first one, and then it's a matter of scrolling down and jumping to the next one and to the next one and to the next one. There are 9 and they are simple to follow. So let's start with a quick introduction because normally when you think of a quiz, you'll think of questions and answers and results, but we will do things in a more professional way other than just that. So the quiz itself, it will turn out to be a Django model. The same for the questions, and this part is more evident. But then dimensions is the untalked part. So this will not show to the user, and you can think of them as intermediate results that we will use in the backend to estimate what's the best result. So for this case, we will create a sleep quality quiz, which is common to all of us. And example of dimensions could be sleep quality, sleep stress, sleep regularity. Now dimensions will turn out to be again a Django model. Now this will vary a lot with the topic of the quiz. For sleep quality, makes sense to have this, but if you want to define your dimensions, there are in here a quick list to follow. But I'm gonna jump already to the next part, which is answers. And the answers are again a bit more obvious, but what's not so obvious is that each answer will have dimension weights. So what do I mean by this? Let's focus on the first quiz question. How often do you wake up during the night? Never or rarely has a quality +2 score and a stress -1 score. So both of these are dimension weights associated with an answer of a question of a quiz. So each one of them can have multiple dimensions, multiple weights of dimensions. Some of them might not even have, and when the user finishes responding to the quiz, we will have a result based on dimensions. So think of this case. I just made this up. So imagine quality -7, stress 8, and regularity -2. So it's an awful sleep quality. And this leads us to the next part, which is profiles. So based on these results, we will pick a profile, which will be the end result for the user. Now, there are like kind of a reference rule. If you have 3 dimensions, you'll have like 5 to 7 profiles. 4 dimensions, 6 to 10 profiles. It doesn't have to be like strictly like this. It's really more of a reference to keep things healthy and balanced. So for this case, let's imagine that we have created 5 different profiles: balanced, light, stressed, irregular, sleeper, and poor quality, poor sleep quality. One of these will end up being the final result, but we need to associate rules to each profile so we can decide which one is activated upon having a result. So, although the rules look like, imagine balanced sleeper. If the quality is greater than or equal to 4, the stress is less than or equal to 2, and the regularity greater than or equal to 0, we will activate this profile. And it's that simple. It's a matter of verifying if it's compatible with the result of the dimensions. But there are some catches in here that can happen sometimes when you are defining these rules and you have the result. Multiple profiles will be triggered. So this leads us to the priority. Each profile will have a priority, and I think I didn't mention, but a profile it's again one other Django model, and the priority it's simply an integer field. There are some references to give priority to each profile, but I'm not going to go through this in detail. But imagine when you are creating your own quiz, the profiles that have more impact will have higher priority. Okay? Now, you can go through this with more time and understand better, and also use AI to help you with this because it's really good at creating quizzes. Now, imagine for this case, we have these three profiles in target. The one that would win, it would be the poor sleep quality because it has the higher priority. And that's simple. And one final part for introducing the theory behind quizzes. Sometimes what also happens is that none of the profiles were triggered. So the results that we got didn't activate any profile, which does happen sometimes. For this reason, we create a fallback profile with absurd rules. Look at this: quality greater than 999, stress less than 999, and etc. And the priority it's the lowest. So there you go. If nothing applies, you'll have a fallback profile, and you need to adjust what it means. So for the sleep quality quiz, could be an undefined sleep pattern. That's it for the first part, guys. And second part, the database. Let's go. I will not start a Django project from scratch. I will download this one from my GitHub page, which is a super basic Django project. So we avoid the initial steps. It's named My Site. It has an app named Pulse, and that's great. I still need to activate my virtual environment, and only then I'm gonna run the server. All right, let's open that with a text editor. And here it is. Okay, so not gonna be too long on typing codes. I will rather explain what's happening with the models. We have 7 Django models. Like I told you earlier, one model for quiz, one for question, answer, dimension, profile, and in the end, we have 2 specific models to associate answers with dimensions and profiles with rows. So I will copy it to models.py in polls in there, just like that. I have repeated the models import, but that's fine. So in the quiz model, we have this ID. We will use this in the URL so we can give it a specific ID and it won't repeat. Then the question as a quiz and the text, the model answer again as a question and the text, the dimension as a quiz and the name. Then we have the profile, which also has a quiz, a name, a description, and the priority, which is, like I told you earlier, a positive integer. Well, actually, I just mentioned integer, but that's fine. Then the last two tables or models associate answer and dimension and profile and rule. So they will both have foreign keys for those two models. Answer and dimension will have the weight and profile rule as the profile and the dimension foreign keys with the minimum and the maximum value for each dimension. Other than that, it's just the string method to make it look better if we ever instance this in the backend or in the admin dashboard. Gonna save this. Let's go to the command line, interrupt the server, and run python manage.py, make migrations, and after that, migrate. And then we are ready to go to the next part, display all of this in the admin dashboard. Alright, showing this on the admin, I'm gonna tell you some interesting things that happen in here that end up not being that common. But first, let's go to the admin and paste all of these codes. And let's say we have here 8 classes, and some of them are inline. So what does this mean? First, let's focus on the model classes. So it's the quiz admin, then the question. So we have one for quiz, question, answer, dimension, and profile, which is expectable. Now, if you notice, there are others without the register, and these are just facilitating the process of inserting data in the admin dashboard. Let's save that and see. Let's visit the admin. If you downloaded the project from the GitHub, the credentials are admin admin, and it's gonna generate a warning. So this means that when you go to questions and add a question, you will have this in line where you can add directly the answer to this question. The same applies to answers. I'm not going to create right now, but if you are creating an answer and you have an inline for the dimensions, you can add the dimensions directly through the answer model, which is quite useful. It's mostly something that if you are aware about this, then you can use it in the future, especially with AI that will do this for you like in a second. So that's it for the admin. We could go through this. We could go through this in more detail, but I don't think it's worth for now. So next part, testing data. Let's go. So there's a lot of information to a quiz, kind of. Look at this. Quiz name, questions and answers, the dimensions. We'll go with the initial example. The dimensions, the dimension weights, profiles and roles. Now when you are creating your own quiz, you should go through this in your own way. Now we'll leave this for when you create your own quiz. So for this example, so it's not boring, we'll use this JSON file to upload this directly into the database. So it's a matter of clicking in the link and using this load data through the manage.py to upload everything to the database. So interrupt the server and you can simply paste this comment. Oh, wait, before I proceed, I really need to move the JSON to the project folder and only then run the command. If it's successful, it will show something like this: installed 102 objects. And let's run the server back on. If we visit the admin now, it will have all the information. So sleep quality, it made up this on the JSON file, questions, profiles, dimensions, answers, and everything. So for uploading the data, I highly recommend that you do this automatically. Let's go to the next part and generate the quiz with the Django view. Alright guys, time for the backend logic. I'm gonna copy this code into views.py, and we also need to create the correspondent URL. But first, polls views, and simply paste that, get that URL working on urls.py under polls. And before we proceed, let's go through this code. So we're basically collecting this quiz through this ID that we're receiving, and we're collecting it from the database and assigning it to a context key quiz. The same for all of the quiz information, running this with a for loop inside the context that will simply associate to the SurveyJS key all the information we need to use on the front end. So it's that simple. We're basically putting everything in context and sending it to quiz.html, and we will create that right away in the next part. Let's go. Let's continue the journey of creating a quiz with Django, but this time we will be using SurveyJS, which is quite good for a quiz. And yeah, let's copy this code and put it on quiz.html. Let's create that. So template under polls, quiz.html, and simply paste this. Now, what's happening here? We are receiving the variable context in this template that we have filled in quiz page view, and we create the quiz in here using SurveyJS. Not gonna go through this in much detail, but when we submit the quiz, we will send the results to this specific URL that we haven't created yet and that we will do next. We'll come back to this for some styling, different languages, and different things. For now, I'm gonna leave it this simple. Let's go. Let's carry on with the results. First thing, let's get out of the way. Create a path for the results. So here it is. We didn't create the view yet, but it's going to be this one. I'm gonna copy and paste this into views right below quiz page view, and that's it. Now let's go through this one again with some overview. We get the quiz through the ID that we are receiving from the URL, and we get data, which contains all the information about the results. We create this scores dictionary, and in answer IDs, we list the values of the answers. So it's going to be a Python list with the answers IDs, really. Now, in this part, we will filter all the answer dimensions for these answer IDs and for this specific quiz. So we can then calculate based on the weights. So then for each answer that we have replied in the quiz, we collect the score, let's say, or we sum the score into this specific scores key. The key is going to be the dimension ID coming from this add variable adds. All right, we get the profiles. Let's keep it simple. And this takes way longer to understand than what I'm just telling you. The goal is to give an overview. We use a flag in here, valid, and we run through the whole profiles. And yeah, we check if the rules are valid or not. If so, the profile is chosen and activated. Something goes wrong, we present the error. Otherwise, we show the result.html page. So that's part of it. We can already run this. Let's take a look. Localhost. Now I'm gonna have to get the quiz ID like that, and I'm going to paste it after /q/ and here we have it. It's looking like this right now. We could already make some tests. Let's see. Answering completely randomly, and we don't have the result.html file yet. So let's take care of that already. Result.html. Let's scroll down a little bit. I'm simply gonna copy and paste this into results. We need to create it under polls, templates, templates, polls, results.html. I'm going to paste this one. We also need to create the error one in case something goes wrong. Then we have this page to show to the user. Okay, we can test again the quiz. Let's see. Again, trying to go through this. Really, I've messed up the name. Results. No, it's just results. Okay. Let me try that again. And quiz result, excellent, sleep quality. Okay. That's almost out of it. Of course, in the real case scenario, you will want to elaborate this a lot more, not just this simple page. But yeah, now in the next part, let's take a look on language and styling. Alright, so I'm gonna drag this one to my other screen. It's going to be easier. And let's copy paste into quiz.html this new CDN from survey, and at the beginning of your script you can add a different language, so each country will have its own code, and what it's really being translated, it's not the questions and the answers. What it's being translated, it's the buttons and this page 1 of 5. So for right, so for this case, it's in Portuguese, and also the warnings. Please reply to the question and anything else that it's native to the quiz. So that's part of it. Also, we can add a little logo to this. Let's try that with survey logo. Now pay attention. This one only goes after the survey uh, survey variable. Let's keep this organized. I have a logo in the static dot slash images folder, and it's simply going to show the logo. You can change the position of the logo. For now, I'm gonna leave it on the right. One final thing, there are multiple styles. Let me show you. You can visit this page for different themes. And yeah, for now, I'm just going to add this one, which is sharp dash light. So again, in the head section, let's add that one. And again, in the script, after the survey variable, let's put it in here. We can change the theme of the quiz. They have multiple. It's a matter of exploring. It looks good. One final part, which is, of course, optional. We can generate a QR code for this quiz, which is always interesting. Imagine you want to print this in a card, drop somewhere. Uh, could be interesting. So it's super simple. I'm gonna copy this code and paste it, replace it with the quiz admin class and admin. Gonna paste, going to replace these 3 lines with that last post. And we need to go to the command line and pip install QR code, run back on the server, and when you go now to the quiz in the admin, it will show the QR code. So let me try this just in case. It's showing for localhost, obviously. If you put this live, it will show with your domain. And that's it for the quiz. I'm trying to adjust these videos to this new reality where we all have AI. So the video is about a quiz, not about coding so much, even though it's so important. And yeah, I hope you like it. I hope you find it valuable. Say hello, subscribe, and I hope you have a really great day. And thanks for everything. Bye.